Hey everyone, my name is Shivansh and you're listening to my Uncooked Thoughts. And I'm recording a podcast episode after so long that it almost feel like this is the first episode. But I have with me today Ayush, who I have met through Instagram. Actually, like we connected through Instagram DMs, and then kind of I followed his journey. He's working with Avi Arya. And how old are you, Ayush?
19.
19. Like this guy is 19 and like doing amazing stuff. I have been noticing his journey. And Ayush, like I'll let you have your own introduction, man. I'm bad at giving introductions, so just
Okay,
like
anyways. Hi guys, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I'm Ayush, a 19-year-old, I won't say old, a 19-year young marketer who is practicing digital marketing. And I have my own show, which is Ayush Talks. And I'm a true learner. I learn every day, every single minute. I try to, meet a lot of people wherever I go. So this is how I am. And yeah, that's all about me.
Ayush, you mentioned about a very cool, um, you know, a concept. I'm a learner. Uh,
Yeah.
what do you think about it? Like if you go deep down, like that's a very broad terminology. What do you think that has been one of the subject, one of the field that you learned the most in? Yes, because I'm just asking because yesterday I created this post where I said that put your head down and just focus on working on your skills. But then again, I believe that skills are more subjective. Like everyone would have to learn different skills. For me, it would be different according to my career or what my personal life is, and it might or might not be the same for you. So, what do you mean when you say that I'm a learner? Do you mean like in your career, if you are into digital marketing, you learn things about that, or in general, you're just open to new ideas?
Of course, I can't learn every single minute. So what I do is I observe things. Let's suppose I'm with you right now, and I'm observing things like, what can be done, and what where I am at. So things like that. So observation is a part of learning
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. It's a very good observation in itself because I do this all the time. I try to reflect back on whatever I have done, and for all the people listening to this, I'm pretty sure, and I think Ayush would also agree that a lot of times you go through your day, and at the end of the day, you're sitting in your bed probably, or just thinking that, oh, I did this, I should have done this rather, or I behaved like this, I said this, I should have said this. So what is this? Like this is also a part of observation. You are kind of reflecting back on what you did, but more than often we really forget the things that we observe. We are like, okay, ठीक है, ये सोचा मैंने, ऐसा करना चाहिए था, but भूल जाते हैं, अगली बार दोबारा वही mistake करते हैं. So a very important like side to this coin is के observe करो और फिर उसको कहीं मैं I try to write it down on a diary ताकि pattern observe हो. So ऐसा कोई like do you have any example that you can share that something you observed
Yeah.
which was like a pattern and then you kind of change that?
So what it is, let's suppose I am on a call. I my work is into digital sales, so I talk to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So let's suppose if today I'm doing a mistake, and I know that this cannot be done by me, and ये मैंने गलत किया, let's suppose. So I just connect all the dots कि मैंने last time क्या किया था when I was having that
Yeah.
call, that kind of similar call.
Right.
So I just connect that thing, and I just correct myself at the same time.
Right, right. One more thing, like which is just going through my mind right now is,
Hmm.
as I was mentioning yesterday when I was, we were talking on a call yesterday and planning this podcast. As I mentioned that honestly, for me, having guests or having people on this podcast is more of a learning for me. Like I want everyone who is listening to this right now to listen to and learn from all the lessons that people share here. But like the primary purpose of me having you here is me learning things from you. So like again, I would be observing the things that you say or trying to learn from you. And this is a topic that I want to have your thoughts on. Lately I've been thinking कि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि we see somebody who is working and probably in the same field and he's better than us, right? So there are two sides of this story. One, you would want to be like that person, but sometimes we are human, or it could be just me and I'm working on it. But sometimes I feel jealous. I feel like, oh, like naturally ना एक थोड़ा सा एक boundary आ जाएगी उस बंदे से कि oh shit, he's better than me. Like I would just have this feeling of not wanting to interact with that person or kind of learn with that person. Like there is two sides of the story. So has it ever happened to you when you see somebody working really good,
Mhm.
but then you kind of want to learn, but also you kind of feel like not jealous, but I don't know, like what I'm talking about. Okay, initial first impression acha nahi jata. Even that person is good.
I would like to talk about the positive side. That is key when we get inspired from anybody. Let's suppose last year I met Rahul Bhatnagar, I
Hmm.
met Aviso, and a
Right,
lot of people who are doing amazing,
right.
at wherever they are working. So I get inspired. I wanted to be like them, but then I realized I am me and I have to create something of my own that
Hmm.
can't be same. That should be different.
Right,
But the process is same. The situation is same.
right,
The journey is same.
right.
So जो भी whatever it will take will going to be the same. So I have to learn through them, learn from them, and उसी के साथ हो पाएगा. And jealousy भी होनी चाहिए. So that keeps you always push कि हाँ यार करना है वैसा.
Right. So you just mentioned like two people who are at the peak of their careers, like amazing people, Rahul and Avi. So how did you meet these people? And kind of like I'm trying to also uh, let you share your ideas and lessons from what you have learned from networking with these people, and what are your thoughts on networking? Because I'm definitely sure this is something that I'm gonna learn a lot from you. So like what is your thoughts on networking with people, or rather people who are a league above you?
Why not? Uh, First of all, I would like to talk about what exactly networking is. And sometimes when we use the word networking, people understand that can be network marketing or he
Yeah.
is a scammer. So the word should be I don't know what should be the word, but it's networking. It's amazing thing to do, and it's good if you are starting your journey. So what exactly networking is? So networking is something. Let's suppose you met Shivansh today, and he's a guy. He's studying in Sydney, and he's doing amazing good at a job at video editing, or maybe some other thing. So you can do. You can just connect with him, and you can leverage your network in future. It doesn't matter. You have to monetize it, but it can be done in a way where both can be get mutual benefit out of it.
Right,
So networking is something, yeah,
right.
which
So
benefits both the party.
one of the follow-up thoughts that I'm having on it, so you mentioned it's not necessary that you monetize it right away, but do you have an
Hmm.
intent of getting out something valuable from that relationship? And that goes both the way, that you provide some value, but at the same time you are getting some value. And this is something which is not bad according to me. Like this is good. Like people say that you shouldn't expect anything in return, which is fine, that is good,
Hmm.
but then again you should kind of scale the relationships that you're trying to invest your time in growing. That what can you get out of it? Like you shouldn't be focusing on having friendships, relationships, or just networking with people where you cannot have anything of value. And anything of value here, I mean like learnings, lessons, not exactly some monetary benefit or something like that. So what do you think about it? Do you have an intent of learning or having some value exchange right from the starting, or you just focus on expanding your network and then kind of like connecting them later on?
So what happened was like around 2.5 years back, I met a lot of people. Like I was in my 11th standard,
Yeah,
and I of course we guys are always active on social media. We try to search new
yeah.
things. I'm kind of guy who like to discover new things.
Mm-hmm.
So always advertisements were going on, and other people are who are promoting their business and all that.
Yeah,
So I was always keen to start a business or maybe to join
right.
the business. So I just called a guy who was running an institute here in Delhi, and I just called him. I said like I came to know about you from that Facebook group where you have posted your advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
What usually happen is they guys are always promoting themselves and nobody is calling them.
Yeah,
That's the bad side of doing this kind of a promotion. So I just called him. He thought I must be I must be a prospect who
yeah. Want
he
to
can
buy
pitch
the service?
and
Yeah.
close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just say, dude, I'm not going to purchase your service and the offerings that you're giving, but I would rather like to join that venture that you're working on. So how it is, like how it goes. So so what I did was, like, I just asked him easy questions initially, not that hard question कि आपका budget क्या है and आपका कितना turnover है. That easy questions like what is that business and how it goes, कैसे anybody can do it better, because that guy was having around 7 to 8 years of experience in the
Right.
same niche.
Hmm.
And I just asked him few questions. Okay. And he did answered me very beautifully, and he was happy that I was asking questions.
Yeah.
So so initially I started like this. Then I joined his venture. Then I became partner with him, run that business for like 1.5 year.
Hmm.
Then I went to Goa last year for an event. I met many people,
Right.
including Aviara.
Hmm.
So you just tell like how to monetize and how to monetize it later, like everything. So so what I did was I came to know about Aviso, and I just pitched him. So I wanted to do something with you. I'm keen to learn. I am ready to work with you. So let me know, is there any possibility to join your business? So he
Right.
said yes, come and join for with us for sales. So I said of course, why not? Then so that's how it happened. And then now like I did a 3 month internship here in Delhi at Internet Moguls. Then I was always good at work, so I'm good at work. So that's how the everything went, and promotion and everything.
Man, I'm actually getting goosebumps right now. The reason being, like, you kind
Mm.
of have shared a lesson that I have recently learned and have been reading books. So, you know what? If you dig deep down to what you have just mentioned, one of the fundamental principles that can be taken out is asking. If you take the first
Mm.
story, you picking up the phone and calling that person and asking, right? Then you meeting Avi Arya, not knowing he would accept the offer, not knowing how he would react, but you still asked. And probably they could have said no, but you never know the answer until you ask. And I've been reading like this book, Elon Musk biography, and even
Mm-hmm.
that person is like so persistent. He got so many internships just because he kept pinging people. And even the authors have shared the importance of asking, because a lot of people or authors wanted to write a biography on Elon Musk, but he always kept declining them. So I have the book right now here. The author is Ashley Vance, and the author has mentioned one of the story that the author kept on asking Elon uh, that I want to do a story on, I want to write a book on you. Kept on asking, and that kind of made Elon be impressed by the persistence and tenacity of the author to keep going after, even when he had said no. So asking is a very important, very crucial part in growing. Like, you got to ask questions. You never know the answer, but you got to ask. What do you think is the major reason people don't do this?
So what I think is like why people don't approach anybody, like of course the fear is there of rejection. And but apart from that, some people, everybody have their own aura and own personality. So some people may have ego of, how why I will go to them, just to work with them. So that's one thing. Another thing is, many people I found were shy in the front of any speaker or any public speaker or a person who is good and who is a master at his skill set and all that. So I found this as well. Like even I was shy 4 to 5 years back. I was
Right,
not that confident.
right,
So but it started when I took initiative of reaching out to people. And that's how I guess I reached out to you and many other people.
right. Yeah, no, that's amazing, man, and I can relate to that because since I moved to Sydney, I've been trying to do the same thing. Um, if you go back 4 or 5 years ago, my story is the same. I was an introvert. I didn't like talking to people. I couldn't talk to people, if you put it that way. But now I have taken the initiative. And then again, like as I mentioned, with any skill, there is a learning curve to it. You would you would be annoyed in the first initial half when you want to go and ask that person, but you're just afraid, okay, no, not today. But that not today is gonna be like that if you don't take the initiative. Probably you go there and you know, it's just like proposing a girl, probably who's out of your league, or even in your league. You're like, okay, what if she says no? And you know, you mentioned a good thing. Ego is also one of the reason people don't ask. There is fear of rejection, but also ego. If she says no to me, like how can she say no to me? Or could be just fear of rejection. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. There are plenty of fishes in the sea. This is like a saying. But what I mean by this is that person, even in a business term, that person saying no doesn't mean that is the end of your life or your career. There are plenty of other people. There would be plenty of other opportunities, and that no is equivalent of you not asking. So there is not much of a difference. Like you don't asking them is literally the same of them saying no. What is the other option? Them saying yes. So why not as well just like ask or approach? And I know I'm making it sound easy, and it's not. If you are a person who is an introvert, who doesn't like going out, who's not confident enough, it's okay. We both were like that. So as Ayush mentioned, he took the initiative, and kind of like over a period of time, not instantly, over a period of time, he became more confident. I don't know how many people have you, Ayush, like just like send the message of networking, just saying hi and introduce yourself through Instagram or through real life? How many people do you think you have by now tried to network with?
More than around 1,500, 2,000 around.
See,
Yeah.
that is so amazing, and that's how I believe now you would be much more confident in shaking hands with a person who is doing amazing in their field, and still introducing yourself, having that uh, confidence in yourself to kind of ex- ex- like you would expect them to say yes, but also you would have the confidence to accept if they say no. So that's amazing. Also, what do you think from your own personal experience is a right way to approach people?
Well, there is nothing like a right way to approaching people, but I'll come to that as well. But let me tell you what it takes, because we were talking about why a person should do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they are not taking initiative. So
Uh-huh.
let me tell you what it takes. It takes reading books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is Outliers. I read that book around four years back,
Yeah.
and I came to know about that 10,000 hour rule. So I was always, I'm still a learner, as I mentioned. I love to reading books. So this comes with the habit of reading.
Right.
So when you try to read books, then you understand how you can read people as well.
Right.
And that's how you start taking initiative. You start approaching people. You start going to networking events, which
Hmm.
you are not doing right.
Well, that's a very fresh perspective. I want you to explain that a bit. Like, I would want you to take some time and explain
Mhm.
how you can connect
Sure.
reading a book to a
Mhm.
reading person. For example, not every, there are certain books like how to win friends and influence people, or certain books that teach you how to read body languages. But what if that book is not about, like, do you mean any book would help you to network or approach people, or certain books that are in this category? What do you mean? Like,
Yeah, of course. I would. Yeah, there are certain books. Uh, yeah, but many books can help with you for that. So first of all, of course, Dale Carnegie. All books are awesome,
mhm,
and you can consider that as well. And I'll highly recommend that if you are in starting your journey, you should go through them. Then comes, let's suppose, we all know about self-help books and books. So what is there in the book? Every single book there is a story,
yeah,
right? That starts from point A to
mhm,
Z, right?
mhm,
So that's how it is. So
mhm,
let's suppose if you are reading a story and you are totally like, you are in that story, you are assuming yourself in that in the part of that person, let's suppose.
yeah,
So that's how you start, you know assuming all the things, visualizing all the things, and then the power of visualization comes into the real life, and then you can do it
yeah.
in
So
events and
I
in.
believe you are a book reader. Like, you love reading books. I can tell by the passion you had when you were explaining the whole book concept. But
Mhm.
I consider myself to be a very, like, I've just recently started reading books, and honestly, now I'm kind of enjoying it. Like I'm reading 20 pages in one sitting, spending 2 hours reading books. And literally, there were times where I was just sitting in the same room I am in at night at 11 p.m. and I'm reading a book, for example, Elon Musk biography. And I would read something and I would laugh, like, oh, wow, that is amazing. Or I would like, if that is a very passionate movement which is being described, my eyes will be like, a bit wet. Like that is how how I believe books are. I don't feel the
Yeah.
same kind of emotions every time I watch a show. But as you mentioned, when you are reading the story from A to Z, you visualize, you imagine that. And once you go into that story, it's a whole different
Hmm.
world. Like now I'm kind of starting to feel why people are so engrossed by the whole concept of reading books. So yeah, reading books is an important task, guys. If you don't read books, there are people like Gary Vee or even Digital Pratik or a lot of other people who are successful and who says that they don't read book, but there are also several thousand successful people like Ender Frizzle, Grant Cardone, and Bill Gates. A lot of people who read plenty of books. So if you're not at the level that you want to be, and if you just consider yourself not a book reader, probably that's just an excuse of you not reading the book. Like, okay, I can take in information from other people, places, but yeah, you got to read books. So if we are talking about books, what would be your top three picks that you would recommend people?
Through
Could be
three
from,
books, right?
yeah, could be from any field. Yeah, it doesn't have to be self-help. Could be fiction or
Uh,
non-fiction. Just top three books.
yeah. So I would like to mention a fiction that I read. That is Perks of Being a Wallflower. Okay. And I gifted that book to my friend. And then I read, of course, Dale Carnegie, how to, influence people and all that. Then comes, of course, then comes a book which was like Think and Grow Rich, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm reading
by
as well. Yeah,
yeah,
Napoleon Hill.
by Robert Kiyosaki.
No,
Yeah,
that's by
so that
Napoleon
one,
Hill. Think and Grow Rich is
no, no,
by
no.
Napoleon Hill.
Okay, okay, yeah, right. That's
Robert
right. That's right.
Kiyosaki's
Rich
Rich
Dad,
Dad
Poor
Poor
Dad.
Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so these are few of the books which I have read and I enjoyed a lot. And I also already mentioned one fiction, so that was amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah. So anything else you like to mention? Also, I
Uh,
would like to mention one advanced part of reading books.
oh.
That is fast reading.
Hmm.
So have you ever tried?
Uh, Honestly, as I mentioned, like recently, I have read 2, 3 books by now. Like one fiction that was How to Kill a Mockingbird way back
Mhm.
to like I guess like 2 years ago when I was in India, and then when I was doing my 75 hard, then I completed Rich Dad and Poor Dad, and I was reading another book was biography of Microsoft's CEO. Is it Satya Nadella or yeah? Sundar Pichai
Yeah,
or Satya
yeah, yeah.
Nadella? I'm confused between
No, no. Microsoft's Satya
CEO is
Nadella.
Satya Nadella. So his biography
Google for yeah.
is Sundar Pichai, right? Thank you. So honestly, like fast reading is something which I don't believe I do,
Mm-hmm,
because I kind of like
mm-hmm.
read it so slow that I'm like imagining it, and like I don't. It's just my perspective. I probably because I've just started reading books, and once I actually kind of pick up my pace and want to read more books, I would go into fast reading. But yeah, tell me more about it. What do you mean? Is it like
Sure.
skipping your eyes or
No,
jumping through paragraphs? What is it?
no, not exactly. First, you gotta read Ikigai.
Hmm.
That's a lovely book which I
Yeah.
purchased recently.
Hmm.
I got a lot of books, in my bedroom. So I every night I read these books
That's amazing.
before going to sleep.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
So
you know what? Just sorry to cut you off, but if anyone is listening to this, or even if they are not listening to this, I still want to share this thought of mine with you. As long as I started reading books, I believe like I have cut off my time on social media, which was unproductive social media usage, like just scrolling through TikTok or through Instagram or just wasting my time. Because now I have something productive. So even people keep on asking what's the right book to choose. I'm like, pick any of the top 10 books in any of the field, you would get something out of it. Even if you don't get something out of it, you would still be not wasting your time on doing more unproductive things. So yeah, sorry to cut you off. So fast reading?
Sure. No, 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 no. First, I would like to mention few things related to fast reading. When you are what happened is, like, every time when we are reading book, we are somewhere else. We are just reading book for the sake of reading book, but not actually we are
Reading
reading,
it,
and we
I
are.
understand. I
Yeah.
totally get what you
So
mean.
first you need to understand why you are reading this, and if you are not focused on reading this, then just let it be. So then what happened is, let's suppose I'm reading Ikigai and I
Hmm.
want to do fast reading.
Yeah.
So before that, I'll go to a 2 or 3 minute meditation. I'll do chanting either.
Oh
So
wow.
that will make me more focus. Like, uh, I'll just forget whatever wherever I am at. Let's suppose I am reading the book in my office. I'll do a 2 minute meditation before that, so that I can read that every single word, right? So that's how I start fast reading. Then comes the concepts. Let's suppose, for me, I have read around 15 to 20 books, so I know how these books are written and how these stories are mentioned, and I have some idea, basic idea. So I can skip some parts as well, okay, but at the same time I can visualize what can be the next term
Hmm.
after that. Let's suppose I'm reading a story of somebody who is running who is riding a cycle. Then what is going to do? Then I can visualize that as well. So I don't even need to read that overall thing, but I can read few pointers of that paragraph.
Yeah. But then again, I
Yeah.
would say that this would, as you mentioned, that you have read 15, 20 books. After that, you have kind of um, become
Mhm.
aware of this pattern. So if somebody is new to reading, I would still suggest them to do, like,
No.
read everything. But that the other thing is something that I would try as well, and I would recommend everyone else. Like, meditating, and then just could be anything. Like, meditation is not necessarily you sitting in like
Mhm.
in a certain position, or you probably even chanting. For me, meditation could be just me focusing on the sounds that are in my environment. It could be just me focusing on some on some what do you mean, like, objects. For an example, right now, if I look around in my room, I could figure out all the rectangles. Like, just if I can pick a shape like rectangle, I would just look around. I would see, oh, mirror is rectangular, this laptop frame is rectangular, this diary is rectangular, my phone is rectangular. Oh, by the way, I just want to share this trivia fact. Rectangle is the most commonly used shape. Like, if you look around, rectangle is the shape that is used the most in infrastructure or in anything. So yeah, so meditation is just, or could be, about you grounding yourself to come to the present. As you mentioned, like, if you're in office, there is so much of noise around you, so you kind of focus and then open the book and then start reading. So yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah, for sure, man. You should do that. And okay, so as we are discussing about rituals, so I'll like to mention few things. So what is your daily rituals, first of all?
My daily ritual is kind of messed up. I'm still trying to have a schedule. I have a calendar just behind my laptop where I try to write down all the things. So for example, we had this podcast scheduled yesterday, so I wrote it down on the calendar. Okay, this is the time where I'll be having a video call with Ayush, and then I have one more podcast later on. So I wrote it down at 10 p.m. I have this another thing. In between, if I have empty spaces, is when I believe I kind of am more lazy and productive. So I believe if you just write down things, what you have to do on a piece of paper, it makes you more productive. But I believe by ritual you mean something else, or is it scheduling your day? What do you mean by ritual?
No, 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 no. Rituals are something. See, this is a very wide term, but
Hmm.
how I use the rituals in my daily life and how I am getting benefit out of it is, like, let's suppose I've got 5 minutes every day just for uh, using an application called Google Primer, where I learn new skills.
Right.
Okay, so let's suppose I have to do it
Right.
every single day, whatever it takes. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so what I did is I have noted down few things. Let's suppose I've got a diary with me, and
Uh-huh.
I wrote down all the things I do. So just like you, so I have created a structure for the next 15 days, how what and how I'm going to schedule all the things in a pattern. Then I've
That
taken
is
it.
so good. Like for the next 15 days, you have kind of wrote down
Yeah,
by time blocks, or just what you have to do in that day.
not like a time block, but like a what I need to do for for just for
Uh,
15 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, anytime I can do it. Let's suppose I have to run for 15 minutes. I'll do it in the morning. I'll do it in the evening,
Hmm.
afternoon, or whenever I get time. So that's a ritual that you have to do it every single day.
Ah,
But I try to, you know, keep it parallelly, like, you know,
at the same
time
time
to
every
time.
day.
Yeah. So what I did after that, I have taken a screenshot of that picture, and I have used that picture as my phone wallpaper.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it keeps me,
Yeah,
always whenever I open my phone, I can see all the
yeah.
things I have mentioned. I have to do this, then I have to do this. So this is how I do.
That's good. So tell us about some of your rituals. You mentioned about Google
Mhm.
Primer. You mentioned about running, but what do you think is few of the rituals that you do which are kind of like different or new, or even if they are not, like people don't do that, or you would recommend people to do that?
Yeah, sure, why not? First, I feel 90 or 99% of people don't observe their growth. So
Hmm.
I had a conversation with all the office members, and in the afternoon session, you must know about that. So in the afternoon session, I have given a short speech where I had talked about observation and growth observation.
Yeah,
So I love public speaking. I whenever I got an opportunity to speak in front of 100 or 50
yeah.
people, I just
You
do
would
that.
grab it. Yeah.
So yeah, so what I did was I had talk about growth observation and how it is, like, let's suppose we are planning our day, we are planning our work, we are working on our KRAs and everything, our priorities, but we are never focusing on how we are getting benefit out of it. Let's suppose we are noting down, we have to take 3 liters of water every day,
Yeah.
right? But we are not understanding why we have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it required or it's not?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of observation and asking yourself back why I'm doing this.
Hmm.
That's one thing. Then of course I have mentioned Google Primer, so I use it every day. Then I practice visualization of my goals, and
Hmm.
where I'm coming from, all the things. So it keeps me grounded and it keeps me always humble and all that. So I ask myself every day who I am and where I'm coming from. That's
That's
two things. Yeah. And I guess after I have few more rituals, just like what I can say is, of course, yeah, networking with people is my ritual. Every day I
hmm.
talk to new people. Yeah, so that's my daily ritual. I practice it every time.
That's great,
And
man.
yeah, so I talk to a lot. See, my job is into sales, right? So
You have
automatically
to,
I
yeah.
will be so I have to, and I will get introduced by many people. So I talk to them, I understand their problem, I try to solve them. If not, I just recommend them something that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that's how I fulfill all the things in my mind.
Yeah, that's very important, asking why, because that kind of reminds you why you're doing that. So, for example, you mentioning 3 liters of water, everyone knows that you have to drink water, but why is it necessary? Because actually, it is very good for your digestive system. It is good for your skin, and you need water to like survive. So, like if you just even ask some why to, and you get some very vague answers, even that is better than
Mhm.
just having that task on your probably to-do list, because once you know there are certain reasons behind that, you
Mhm.
might have
Mhm.
a more propensity to complete that task. Also, you mentioned about KRAs. What is a KRI? um,
Here is what I can say is your key roles basically.
all right.
Your priorities.
Hmm.
There are two things in every day that we do. First is urgent things. First thing is things that are urgent, and another things like these are important. Let's suppose I have got two projects. First is I have to get the work done by designer
Yeah.
team, and the second is I have to make 50 calls.
Hmm.
So for me, important thing is making 50 calls, and urgent is getting the work done by design team. Okay,
Got it.
so I'll focus more on my important things. At the same time, I try to uh, keep myself around the design team so that they can do it. So I don't even need to, you know, uh, ask them again and again how it's going and all that. I can just focus on my important task.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, that totally makes sense. And
Yeah.
yeah, that I guess like that pretty much sums up this podcast episode. I quickly refreshing the people, or mostly myself, that what we talked about is like importance of networking. How can we
Mm-hmm.
network? And if you have problem networking,
Mm-hmm.
how you can take the initiative, how you can go through it, then probably reading books, how is that important, and then rituals. So
Mm-hmm.
pretty amazing stuff. Also, is there any ending thoughts that you have and you would like to share?
Sure, why not? Why not? I have some secrets for networking which I have noted down. So, let's suppose if you are going to an event.
I like the sales part, like the sales personality in you, who always like keep something in his head.
So, I've noted down. Let's see. Yeah. So I've noted down few things. First is a smile. Keep that smile on your face whenever you are going to event or any small meetup. Let's suppose. So you have to, you know, you don't need you. Why you want anybody to feel, think you as a person who is sad or mm, not here to for the reason they are, right? So you don't want to feel awkward,
Yeah.
so keep that smile on your face.
I just want
Then
to add something to it. So since I moved to
sure.
Sydney, I kind of realized that in Indian culture,
Hmm.
if you meet somebody new here in Australia, like smiling here is very common. Like it's a very common thing. If you just meet somebody, you will say, "Hey, how are you?" Like there is an enthusiasm in the voice. But I'm not saying in a bad sense. It's just that the way the culture has kind of evolved over the period of time in India. If you meet somebody, there is
Hmm.
very rarely that you would smile, be enthusiastic about it, or probably just because
Yeah.
I don't know what the reason is, but then again, like I would totally agree. I would add, like, not just at meetings, networking events, even when you are meeting somebody for the new time, like just, or even when you are not, like I sometimes I'm like walking on the street and then I push myself and I just make myself to smile. I might look like a psychopath, but that makes me like, there is a scientific reason behind it. When you smile, there are hormones in your body that are released that makes you feel good. So if you're feeling sad, just putting on a fake smile would actually help you to have a genuine smile because of the hormones. So yeah, it's a very, like, I am very big on smiling. So totally agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. That was amazing. So as I was talking about few secrets
Yeah.
from my own experience. So first is of course smile,
Yeah.
and let's suppose you have got 1 minute to
Yeah.
pitch somebody or two, and they have taken out only 1 minute for you. So what you've got to do is you have to share your passion and vision.
Hmm.
You don't need to pitch them your service and product. You
Yeah.
just need to share them your vision and your passion.
Hmm.
Okay. And then the next thing is of course story sells
Yeah.
story. Yeah, story is amazing thing which you can practice. So it obviously not going to come automatically. You have to practice storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing is use the head tilt. Let's suppose you are I'm looking at Shivansh for the very first time. Hey Shivansh, I'm just you know head tilting my head, so that's what it can be done. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, these are some
And
psychological cues which are very good, like body language. If you go deep down to the psychology of tilting head, it is like usually when you are interested in a person, you subconsciously tilt your head, and everyone is kind of picking that cue. So if you, like, it's not like, it's one of the cues that is like important, or probably just nodding or just using your other body parts, because non-verbal communication plays a huge role in the whole communication of your idea. So that's these were very good points.
yeah.
So quickly refreshing: first is
Hmm.
mind, second is
Uh-huh. Share your vision and story.
story,
Oh, sorry. That was third.
share,
Story is third point.
share your vision and mission or passion,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
third is storytelling, and then fourth
Fourth
is
is
using,
using head tilt. Head
yeah,
tilt. And fifth is be a good researcher, not a promoter.
What do you mean by
What
that?
I mean by that, exactly. So, I mean, if you are a good researcher, let's suppose you know that you are going to that event on this date, you have to do some research about the speakers that they are
Yeah,
going to be there. Okay,
absolutely.
you have to. Yeah, it is required. Many people think they will come to know about them by themselves. They will never narrate their story in front of them. But why? You have to
It,
do some research about them.
it makes total sense because these people who are successful are being approached by thousands of people, and everyone is asking what you're doing, but blah 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 blah. But you would stand out if you have done your homework. Like, of course the other person is smart enough to understand that you did your homework to stand out, so they're not going to judge you. Okay, you did it because you wanted to stand out of the crowd, because you wanted to make an impact. But these smart people who are successful, who are probably like in a later stage of their life, understand that you doing the homework or the research and putting in the efforts is what is required to be successful, because that makes you, like, going the extra mile. So thanks for sharing all these 5 6 tips at the end of the podcast for the icing on the cake. And I just want to say thank you for being on the podcast, and thank you for all the people who have been listening to this.